Hey there, coin enthusiasts. Have you ever casually flipped through your pocket change and thought, man, if only this penny was worth $1,000,000? Well, what if I told you that dream might not be so far-fetched? Today, we're diving into a coin that's been hiding in plain sight, the 1976 mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Believe it or not, one of these bad boys could be worth a staggering $1.1 million. Yep, you heard me right. So, before you toss that penny into a tip jar or let it rattle around in your car cup holder, stick around. You might just be holding a jackpot in your hands, alright? Let's get into the juicy details. The 1976 Lincoln penny might look like any other coin from your change pile. It's small, coppery, and sporting Lincoln's famous profile. But what makes it so special? It all comes down to a few key factors: rarity, condition, and a little sprinkle of good old-fashioned coin collector luck. Now, here's the deal: not every 1976 penny is worth $1,000,000. I mean, if that were the case, we'd all be retiring on our piggy bank savings. What makes this coin valuable is its minting error and pristine condition. Imagine finding one that's practically untouched by human hands, a coin that skipped the pocket lint stage and went straight from mint to a safe place. That's where the value comes in. Let me tell you a quick story. A friend of mine, let's call him Dave, once found a 1976 penny while cleaning out his old desk drawer. He was about to toss it into the penny jar when something about the coin made him pause. It just looked different. Shinier, cleaner, almost too good to be true. Long story short, after some research, Dave found out it was one of the rare, high-grade specimens. He got it appraised, and boom, he was holding a coin worth over $1,000,000. Dave's now a die-hard penny collector. Who knew a little desk cleanout could lead to that? But how do you know if your 1976 penny is the jackpot? First, check the condition. You're looking for one that's nearly perfect, no scratches, no wear, and still that bright, coppery shine. Next, examine the mint mark. The D should be crisp and clear. Lastly, if you're serious about cashing in, get it graded by a professional. Trust me, nothing hurts more than thinking you've struck gold only to find out your penny's just, well, a penny.so. The next time you find yourself staring at a pile of pennies, remember, one of them could be your golden ticket. Don't underestimate that humble 1976 Lincoln penny. Who knows? You could be one flip away from $1,000,000 discovery. If you enjoyed this video and want more tips on how to find hidden treasures in your spare change, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Your next great find might be just a coin flip away. And hey, leave a comment if you've ever stumbled upon a valuable coin. I'd love to hear your story. See you in the next video. Happy treasure hunting! Hey there, coin enthusiasts and curious collectors. Ever wonder if that old penny sitting at the bottom of your change jar could actually be worth more than your car? Yeah, me too. Today, we're diving into one of the most unexpected treasures hiding in plain sight, the 1966 mint Mark Lincoln penny. Believe it or not, this little copper coin could be worth a whopping $1.2 million. Yep, you heard me right. $1.2 million. So, grab your coin stash, sit back, and let's see if you're about to strike it rich now. Before you start flipping every penny you see, let's get into why this specific coin is so valuable. First off, what does it mean when a penny has no mint mark? It simply means that the coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Back in 1966, Philadelphia didn't mark their coins, so technically, it's not an error, it's just how they did things. However, there's more to this story. The real kicker lies in the coin's condition, rarity, and a bit of good old-fashioned luck. That I'm at a family barbecue a few months ago, digging through my uncle's coin collection, which, by the way, he swears will pay for his retirement one day. I spot a 1966 penny. Heart racing, I carefully inspect it. No mint mark. I'm practically seeing dollar signs. Then, he tells me it's just a regular one. Ouch. But hey, the dream was nice while it lasted. So, what makes a 1966 mint Mark penny worth $1.2 million? It's all about the grade. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being basically flawless. If you find a 1966 penny in pristine, uncirculated condition, and I mean like it just rolled out of the mint yesterday, you could be sitting on a small fortune. Some of these pennies are prized because of unique errors or pristine quality, making collectors go absolutely bonkers for them. Another thing to keep in mind is the color of the penny. The most valuable ones have a bright red color, known as RD in grading terms. A red, shiny, mint-condition penny is like finding a four-leaf clover, super rare and very lucky. Now, you're probably wondering where to find one. The best places are in old coin rolls, collections from grandparents, or even local coin shops that might not realize what they've got. You might even get lucky checking out estate sales or flea markets. Just don't be that person at the grocery store holding up the line, flipping every penny you get as change. Not that I've done that or anything. Before you rush to cash in your collection, make sure to have your coin professionally graded. A certified grading can make all the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and one worth $1.2 million. Also, keep your expectations realistic. These coins are rare, like unicorn rare. But hey, someone's got to find them, right? Alright, folks, that's the scoop on the 1966 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. Who knew that a coin most of us just toss aside could be worth a life-changing amount of money? Keep your eyes peeled, and don't underestimate those old pennies. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, drop a comment if you've got any cool coin stories, and subscribe for more tips on valuable coins. You never know, the next time you reach into your pocket, you could pull out $1 million penny. Hey there, coin enthusiasts and treasure hunters. Ever found a penny lying around and thought, just a penny? Well, today, I might just change your mind about that copper beauty. Buckle up because we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1967 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny that's worth a jaw-dropping $1.3 million. Yep, you heard that right, a single penny worth more than a mansion. Crazy, right? But before we start digging through your couch cushions, make sure to hit that subscribe button because I'm about to share some coin tips that could turn your pocket change into a fortune. Alright, let's talk about why this seemingly ordinary penny is worth more than my entire coin collection, and probably yours too. First off, the 1967 Lincoln penny is unique because it has no mint mark. Back in 1967, the US Mint decided to drop mint marks to discourage coin hoarding. It's like they knew we'd all be hunting for these pennies decades later. Now, here's where it gets interesting. You might be wondering, why is it worth so much if so many were made? Great question. It's all about the condition and rarity. Most pennies from 1967 were circulated heavily, meaning they got pretty banged up over time. But the holy grail is finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition, often graded MS67 or higher. That's the jackpot. You're sorting through an old piggy bank, and bam, you spot a shiny 1967 penny. At first, you think, cool, a vintage coin. But then you notice it's in almost mint condition. Your heart races, palms get sweaty, and suddenly you're Googling coin grading faster than a caffeinated squirrel. Most of us aren't professional coin graders. You might think it looks flawless, but it could have microscopic scratches or slight discoloration that drop its value. So, if you're lucky enough to find a potential gem, get it professionally appraised. Personal story time. A few years back, I was helping my grandpa clean out his garage, one of those legendary grandparent hoarding zones. Amid old fishing gear and rusty tools, I found a jar of pennies from the 60s. My eyes lit up. I was convinced I'd hit the motherlode. Spoiler alert, no $1 million penny in that jar, but I did find a 1967 penny that looked decent. Sadly, it wasn't in top-notch condition, but it fueled my passion for coin hunting even more. Now, let's talk value. The 1967 no-mint mark Lincoln penny in top condition recently sold for $1.3 million at auction. Yeah, a little copper coin breaking the bank. Why? It's all about demand from collectors, rarity, and that near-perfect grade. Plus, collectors love the history behind it.so. Moral of the story? Next time you see a dusty old penny, don't just chuck it into the tip jar. Give it a good look. You might just have a mini fortune in your hand. And who knows? That coin you almost spent on a gumball could actually be your ticket to early retirement. If you enjoyed today's coin adventure, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more tips on finding valuable coins. Drop a comment if you've ever stumbled upon a rare penny or want me to cover another coin. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel where we dig deep into pocket change to find hidden treasures. Today, we're talking about a penny that might just make your jaw drop. That's right, we're diving into the fascinating story of the 1984 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny. You heard me right, a penny worth a whopping $1.4 million. I know what you're thinking, a penny worth millions? Sounds like a fairy tale. But stick around, because this is one coin story you don't want to miss. Alright, quick story time. A while back, I was digging through an old jar of coins, one of those jars that's been sitting around collecting dust for years. I was actually looking for some quarters for the vending machine when I stumbled across this crusty, dinged up penny. I almost tossed it back in, but something about it made me pause. Yep, you guessed it, it was a 1984 D penny. Spoiler alert, mine wasn't the $1 million one, but hey, a penny saved is a penny earned, right? So, what makes this particular penny worth a small fortune? Well, first off, it's all about rarity and error. The 1984 D penny is one of those coins where a small mistake turned into a huge payday for collectors. You see, in 1984, the Denver Mint accidentally produced a batch of pennies with a doubling error on the obverse. That's the front for those of us who don't speak coin lingo now. You might be thinking, doubling? Does that mean 2 Lincolns for the price of 1? Not quite. It means the design features, especially the lettering and Lincoln's profile, appear doubled, like they're slightly overlapping. Here's the deal, coin collectors, also known as numismatists, go absolutely bananas over these kinds of mint errors. The rarer the error, the more cash it's worth. It's kind of like finding a typo in an ancient manuscript. Some people will pay top dollar just because it's unique. The most valuable 1984 D penny had pristine, uncirculated quality and, of course, that distinct doubling error. One of these bad boys sold at auction for a staggering $1.40 million. If you've got a stash of pennies, you might be tempted to drop everything and start searching. The key is to look closely at Lincoln's ear and the word Liberty on the coin. If it looks like someone slapped an extra layer on his ear or the letters look doubled, you might just hit the jackpot. Most pennies from 1984 are, well, just pennies. But due to a mishap at the Denver Mint, a few coins were struck with this doubling. No one's sure just how many are out there, which is part of what makes them so valuable. Collectors are on the hunt, and every time one is discovered, the hype gets even bigger. And now, if you find one, don't go spending it on a cup of coffee. First, handle it with care, no touching the face or rubbing it. Get it professionally graded and authenticated. And remember, selling it on your own might not get you the best price. Auctions or reputable coin dealers are your best bet. So, next time you're digging through your change or breaking open that piggy bank, take a closer look. Your next vending machine snack could cost you a fortune if you're not careful. Let me know in the comments if you've ever found a rare coin or if you're planning to raid your old coin jar after this video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more stories about coins worth money and tips on how to spot valuable finds. Hey there, coin enthusiasts! Have you ever flipped a penny, tossed it into a jar, and thought, it's just a penny? Well, what if I told you that one of those humble little coins could be worth a staggering $1.5 million? Yeah, you heard me right. Today, we're diving into the wild world of the 1967 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin that's turning heads and emptying piggy banks everywhere. Stick around, you might just have a fortune hiding in plain sight. You're cleaning out that old junk drawer, the one where batteries go to die and paper clips form their own society. You come across a dusty pile of pennies. Before you dump them in the nearest coin jar, hold up. That unassuming 1967 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny? It could be the jackpot you never knew you had. Let's break it down. First off, the no-mint mark means it was made at the Philadelphia Mint. Back in 1967, the mint was cutting corners, omitting mint marks altogether as part of a plan to reduce coin hoarding. Fast forward a few decades, and it turns out that decision made this penny a collector's dream. Now, I know what you're thinking, a penny worth $1.5 million? That's crazier than my uncle trying to barbecue in the rain. But it's true. The key here is rarity and condition. The highest graded versions of this coin have fetched jaw-dropping amounts at auction because they're in mint condition, untouched by decades of coffee spills and couch cushions. And here's a little personal story for you. A few years back, I found a 1967 penny while digging around my car for spare change to feed a parking meter. I didn't think much of it, just tossed it in with the rest. Fast forward to today, and I'm frantically checking every 1967 penny I come across. Who knew that rusty old penny might have been worth more than the car itself? But here's the catch: not every 1967 penny is worth millions. Condition is everything. If your penny looks like it's seen the bottom of a fountain one too many times, it's probably not the golden ticket. You're looking for a crisp, clean, almost flawless penny to hit that big payday. Also, be on the lookout for any unique characteristics. Errors or slight variations can skyrocket the value even more. Think doubled dies or misaligned strikes. These little quirks can mean big bucks, so the next time you're about to toss a penny into the tip jar or let it rattle around in your car cup holder, think twice. That tiny, overlooked coin might just be worth more than your rent. Go check those coin jars, your pockets, and anywhere a stray penny might be hiding. And hey, if you like this deep dive into the world of valuable coins, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more tips and stories about coins worth big money coming your way. Don't miss out, your next big find could be just a video away. Hey coin enthusiasts! Imagine finding a penny in your pocket worth $1.6 million. Yeah, you heard that right, a single penny. Today, we're diving into one of the most shocking coin discoveries ever, the 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. If you're anything like me, you've probably spent a good chunk of your life just tossing pennies into jars without a second thought. Well, after today, you might start inspecting every single one. Trust me, it's worth it. So, funny story, just the other day, I was cleaning out my old coin jar. You know, the one that's been collecting dust since, probably before smartphones existed. As I was sorting through the mountain of copper, I stumbled upon this crusty old penny. My heart skipped a beat. Could it be? I squinted, examined it from every angle, and pulled out my phone to do some quick research. Spoiler alert, it wasn't the legendary 1968 no-mint mark penny. But that moment got me thinking, how many of us actually know what to look for? So, here we are. Alright, let's break down why this penny is so special. First of all, the no-mint mark means it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Unlike other coins, Philly didn't add a mint mark back then. So, if you flip that penny over and don't see an S or D, don't panic, it might just be worth a fortune. Now, here's the kicker. It's not just any 1968 penny without a mint mark that's valuable. The one worth $1.6 million is in absolutely pristine condition. We're talking shiny, almost untouched, as if it just rolled off the minting press yesterday. Most of the high-value pennies were found in coin rolls that were never opened or circulated. So, if Grandma hands you an old roll of pennies, definitely take a look. What makes this coin so rare? It's all about the error. There was a mix-up at the mint that year, and a few coins came out slightly off. Collectors love these mistakes because they're one of a kind, and that's why they're willing to drop serious cash on them. Here's what you should look for: the 1968 date with no mint mark, the Lincoln profile that looks crisp and detailed, and minimal wear and tear. The color should still have that reddish copper glow, not too faded or corroded. Currently, the top specimen of this coin sold for $1.6 million at auction. Insane, right? Prices can vary based on the condition, but even a less than perfect example could still fetch thousands. So don't just skip over that penny pile, you might be sitting on a goldmine. The combination of its rarity, error, and perfect condition makes it highly sought after. Serious collectors are willing to spend big because, honestly, it's a piece of American history. Plus, it's like finding a needle in a haystack, there just aren't many around. Alright, coin hunters, if you're feeling inspired to dig through your old change jars, you're not alone. I'm about to go through mine again just to make sure I didn't miss anything. If you enjoyed this video, smash the like button and hit subscribe for more tips on finding valuable coins. Who knows, your next penny could be worth $1 million. Let me know in the comments if you've ever found a rare coin or if you're now on a mission to check every penny you come across. Hey everyone! Welcome back to the channel where we dive into the world of pocket change that might just make you a millionaire. Today, we're talking about a simple, everyday coin that turned into a jaw-dropping collector's dream. Yep, you heard it right, just a regular 1991 Lincoln penny without a mint mark that's worth a staggering $1.70 million. Before we dive into the nitty-gritty, smash that like button and hit subscribe if you're obsessed with finding treasures in your change jar. You wouldn't believe how many times I've emptied mine looking for this very penny. Alright, let's talk about the 1991 no mint mark Lincoln penny. First of all, if you're thinking, wait, I've got tons of those in my drawer, you might just be in luck. What makes this coin so special? Let's break it down. So, coins minted in Philadelphia usually don't have a mint mark. It's not really an error, it's just how Philly rolls. But the 1991 penny is a bit different because it's not just any no mint mark coin, it's got a rare variation that's driving collectors crazy. I know what you're thinking, how can a penny be worth more than a house? Well, it all boils down to rarity and condition. Only a few of these pennies exist in pristine condition. A collector discovered one in near perfect mint state and bam, $1.7 million in the bank. Let me tell you about my friend Jake. One day, he called me up all excited because he found a 1991 penny with no mint mark in his car's cup holder. He thought he hit the jackpot. We both spent an entire evening analyzing that penny under a magnifying glass, convinced we'd struck gold. Spoiler alert, it was just an ordinary penny. But hey, for a few hours, we felt like treasure hunters. Check for sharp, clear details. Any sign of wear can decrease the value. Look at the color. Original, shiny copper tones are a great sign. Seek professional grading if you think you've got something special. Don't just take your buddy's word for it. Here's the thing, not every 1991 no mint mark penny is going to make you rich. The key is finding one in near perfect condition. So, don't quit your day job just yet. But, who knows? Next time you're counting your coins, you might just strike it rich. So, are you checking your change yet? I know I am. Finding a rare coin is like winning the lottery, it's rare, but someone's got to win. If you enjoyed today's coin adventure, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. I've got tons more tips and stories about valuable coins coming your way. Drop a comment below. What's the rarest coin you've ever found? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a story that could change your life or at least make you check your pocket change a little closer. Imagine this, you're at the grocery store, digging around for a penny to round up your bill, and you casually hand over a coin that's worth $1.8 million. Yeah, you heard that right. $1.8 million. And no, this isn't some fantasy scenario, it's real. We're talking about the 1982 D mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny that could literally make you a millionaire. Buckle up, because by the end of this video, you'll be raiding your piggy bank. Alright, let's get into it. First off, why on earth is a simple penny worth so much money? The short answer, it's all about rarity and errors. In 1982, the US Mint was making a switch from copper to a cheaper zinc core due to rising copper costs. They made a bunch of pennies in both compositions, copper and zinc. And here's the kicker, some of the pennies minted in Denver, that's where the D comes in, got a little mixed up, creating a copper penny when it was supposed to be zinc. And now, if you're like me, you might be thinking, okay, but how do I know if I have one of these bad boys? Good question. First, grab a scale. A regular zinc penny from 1982 weighs about 2.5 grams, while a copper one weighs around 3.1 grams. If you find one that's heavier, you might just hit the jackpot. And don't just go tossing your pennies into a coin jar. One wrong move and you might accidentally give away a fortune. Let me tell you a quick story. A friend of mine, let's call him Mike, was cleaning out his junk drawer and stumbled across an old penny. He thought it looked a bit odd, so naturally, he called me. I told him to weigh it, and guess what? 3.1 grams. He almost fainted. Long story short, he got it verified, and now he's seriously considering an early retirement. So, moral of the story, check your change. So, why are collectors going nuts over this penny? It's because it's the only known one of its kind, confirmed authentic. The rarity combined with the error makes it incredibly valuable, not just to coin enthusiasts but also to investors looking for rare collectibles. And since it's in high demand, the price has soared to a whopping $1.8 million. You heard me right, the price of a small house for a single penny. Another pro tip, always get your coin authenticated by a professional grader. There are a lot of fakes out there, and nothing kills that millionaire dream faster than finding out your penny is just, well, a penny. Alright, folks, now you know the wild story of the 1982 D mint mark Lincoln penny and why it's worth a fortune. The next time you get a penny in your change, give it a good look. You might be holding onto a piece of history and a hefty payday. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about valuable coins and how to spot them, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on tips that could make you rich. Leave a comment if you've ever found an unusual coin. I'd love to hear your story. Hey everyone, have you ever looked down at your pocket change and thought, could I be sitting on a gold mine? Well, you might just be. Today, we're diving into one of the most incredible stories in the world of coin collecting, the 1967 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. Sounds like a regular penny, right? Well, let me stop you right there. This little guy is worth around a whopping $1.1 million. Yeah, you heard me right. A single penny, worth more than most people's cars, or maybe even some houses. Now, before you start emptying your coin jar and scanning every penny you find in the couch cushions, let's slow down and dive into why this penny is so valuable, what makes it stand out, and whether or not you're going to be the next millionaire on the block. So grab your magnifying glass, or if you don't have one handy, just your best detective instincts, and let's figure this out together. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about what makes the 1967 no-mint mark Lincoln penny so special. You see, most of the pennies from 1967 were stamped at the Philadelphia Mint, which is totally normal. But here's where it gets interesting. Some of these 1967 pennies have no mint mark, which is not something you'd typically expect. The mint mark's usually on the front of the coin, just below Abraham Lincoln's chin, indicating where it was made either in Philly, Denver, or San Francisco. So, in 1967, they were supposed to have a mint mark, but somehow, a small batch of them slipped through the cracks without one. Now, this isn't a huge issue in itself, right? But here's the kicker, because it was so unexpected, these mintless pennies are incredibly rare, and rarity is the name of the game when it comes to coin collecting. A mintless penny from 1967 has become one of those unicorns in the world of rare coins. Only a handful of these elusive pennies exist, and that's why they've skyrocketed in value. We're talking about a penny that's worth over $1 million, thanks to a little mistake in the production process. Let me tell you something, when I first got into coin collecting, I was obsessed with finding rare coins. I spent weeks going through pocket change, scanning every penny like I was looking for a hidden treasure chest. One day, I found a penny from 1967. My heart skipped a beat. I thought, could this be the one? Could I have just found my ticket to riches? I grabbed my magnifying glass, held it up to the light, and of course, it was just a regular 1967 penny with the mint mark perfectly intact. I was crushed. But hey, that's the thing with coin collecting, it's a journey, not just about striking gold, but appreciating the history and the rarity that comes with each coin. And sometimes, even when you don't hit the jackpot, you learn something new. So, what makes these 1967 no-mint mark pennies worth $1 million? Well, it all boils down to that rarity factor. Less than a handful of them exist, and they become something of a collector's holy grail. Coin collectors go nuts for these things. The rarity, combined with the rich history of the Lincoln pennies, makes this a truly special coin. It's not like you're just finding an old penny in your change jar. No, you've got a little slice of history with a mint error that only happens once in a blue moon. And get this, most people don't even know about these pennies. That's why, if you're lucky enough to stumble upon one, it could easily be worth over $1 million. Just imagine. You could literally go from just another day at the grocery store to, hey, I just found a coin that could change my life. Talk about luck, right? I'll tell you, though, I've come across a lot of pennies in my day. Some old, some shiny, some dirty. But none of them have ever made me a millionaire, though I like to pretend that finding an old penny is like finding a hidden gem. If I had $1 for every penny I've searched through, well, I wouldn't be a millionaire yet, but I'd probably have enough to get a solid cup of coffee, or a snack. So, there you have it. The 1967 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, worth around $1.1 million today, all thanks to a little error in the minting process that turned a simple penny into a rare collector's dream. Who would have thought that something as small as a penny could be so valuable, right? Now, I know what you're probably thinking, alright, I'm going through every penny I have right now. Well, hey, it's worth checking, but remember, just because it's a 1967 penny doesn't mean it's the one you're looking for. It's got to be a no-mint mark, so don't go getting too excited over every penny you find. Before I let you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because we've got more valuable coin tips, tricks, and strategies coming your way. Who knows? You could be sitting on the next big jackpot and just don't know it yet. So, subscribe, stay tuned, and let's make sure you never miss out on a coin that could change your life. I'll see you next time, and remember, keep your eyes peeled for those rare coins, and you might just become the next millionaire in the making. Alright, coin lovers, gather round. You ever take a stroll through your change jar or dig through a drawer filled with old pennies, just hoping for that one rare gem that could make you a fortune? Well, I've got news for you. There's one specific penny that might just be hiding in plain sight in your collection, one you wouldn't think twice about, until you realize it's worth a cool $1.2 million. Yes, you heard that right, a penny worth $1 million, so stick around because today we're talking about the 1973 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll be searching through your pennies with a whole new level of excitement. And hey, I'm gonna throw in a little personal story to make it extra fun. Let's dive in. Now, I know what you're thinking. A penny? $1 million penny? Is this for real? And yes, it is. The 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is one of those hidden treasures that so few people know about, but it's out there, and it's worth serious money. Well, let's break it down. First off, you've got the fact that the 1973 pennies without a mint mark are incredibly rare. Normally, pennies from the 70s would have a mint mark, indicating where they were produced either in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But for some weird reason, a handful of 1973 pennies were struck without a mint mark, making them a rare anomaly in the world of coin collecting. Now, I bet you're probably wondering, why would a missing mint mark make it so valuable? Here's the kicker: the US Mint makes sure that all of their coins are marked with the Mint's identifier, so any coin that doesn't have this mint mark just screams something's up in the world of numismatics. And that's where the value comes in. Collectors go wild over coins with errors or anomalies because they're unique. They're the kind of coins you just can't find every day, sort of like a 4-leaf clover among a field of regular 3-leaf ones. It's a rarity factor, my friend, and in the world of coins, rarity equals big bucks. And here's the funny part: just a few years ago, I had no idea about the 1973 no-mint mark penny. I was over at my buddy Jeff's house, and we were going through his old change, joking around about how the pennies were just worthless, nothing but copper, right? Well, Jeff pulls out this 1973 penny, no mint mark, totally unremarkable looking, and starts telling me about how it could be worth something. I'm like, Jeff, come on, you've been watching too much Pawn Stars. But then I did a little research, and boom. Turns out he was right all along. I'm still a little salty about that, to be honest. Should have listened to Jeff. But back to the penny. So, you've got this rare coin that's worth a fortune. But let's be real for a second. If you're like most people, you're probably thinking, okay, cool, but how do I even know if I've got one? Great question. Here's how you check if you've got one in your pocket change. First, grab a magnifying glass. No, seriously, get one, it helps. Look at the front of the penny, the side that has Lincoln's face. Now, if there's no mint mark right below the year, then you've got yourself a gem. The 1973 penny was minted in Philadelphia, but most were struck with a mint mark. The ones without it? Super rare. But before you start panicking, don't go thinking every 1973 penny is worth $1 million. The coin's condition plays a big role in its value too. A shiny, near-perfect penny is gonna fetch a lot more than one that's been through the ringer, covered in dirt, scratches, or, heaven forbid, a few coffee stains. So, if you find one, make sure it's in decent condition. The better the grade, the higher the value. Speaking of grading, I remember the first time I tried to grade a coin. It was a disaster. I thought a coin was in mint condition just because it looked good to me. Well, turns out that's not how it works. There are actually professional graders out there who spend years learning about the fine details of coins. If you're serious about this stuff, you might want to send your coin to a pro to get it graded. Now, let's talk about selling. If you think you've got a 1973 no mint mark penny that's in mint condition, maybe you just found it in your dad's old change jar or at the bottom of your grandma's purse, your next question is probably, how much can I sell it for? Well, if your penny is in perfect condition, you might get anywhere between $1,000 to $1.2 million at auction. But don't just take my word for it, check out recent auctions and see how much similar coins have gone for. It could blow your mind how much rare coins can fetch. Your search for hidden treasure might be sitting right in your pocket change. If you find a 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, do yourself a favor and take a close look at it. It could be worth way more than you thought, and who knows? Maybe your next trip to the coin shop will turn into a multi-million-dollar payday. If you found this info helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got more tips and tricks coming your way about coins worth money and how you can start cashing in on those hidden treasures in your collection. Trust me, you won't want to miss out. And hey, if you've got any cool coin stories or rare finds, drop them in the comments below. I love hearing about people's experiences with rare coins, and who knows, maybe your story will inspire someone else to go searching for their own lucky penny. Alright, folks, happy hunting, and I'll catch you in the next one. Keep collecting, and keep finding those treasures. Hey, what's up everyone? So, imagine this, you're at a yard sale, browsing through a box of random coins, and you spot a penny. But not just any penny, this penny has the power to change your life. I mean, picture finding a 2020 mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny worth a whopping $1.30 million. Yeah, you heard that right. I'll give you a minute to let that sink in. Now, before you grab your coat and start running to the nearest yard sale, let me tell you about this coin, why it's so special, and how you could end up with one in your pocket. So sit tight, grab a snack, and let's dive into the world of the 2020 mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, a coin that's got collectors drooling and financial planners scratching their heads. Alright, let's start with the basics. You know Lincoln, right? The tall guy with the top hat. Well, he's not just a great president, he's also the face on the famous Lincoln penny. Every year, the US Mint cranks out millions of pennies, and most of them are, well, worth exactly 1 cent. But every now and then, a penny comes along that defies the odds and blows everyone's mind. So, let's talk about the 2020 mint mark penny. I mean, when you think of a coin worth a small fortune, a 2020 penny doesn't exactly scream priceless. I know, you're probably thinking, why would I want a penny from a year I was trying to forget, like 2020? But trust me, there's something special about this coin. Now, here's the kicker, this coin isn't rare because it's ancient, or because it's made of some mysterious metal you can't pronounce. No, this penny became famous because of a mix-up in the minting process. You see, there's a small design error, something that makes this particular penny incredibly valuable. And when I say small, I mean it. It's a tiny little thing, but it's worth more than a new car, a vacation home, and possibly even your entire retirement fund. You're probably thinking, oh come on, how could a penny be worth more than a car? You must be out of your mind. Well, let me tell you a little story to help you understand. I had my own little experience with coin hunting a few years ago. So, I was at a flea market, don't laugh, I know, it's a total cliche, and I spotted this old, beat-up jar full of coins. And in it was an old, crusty penny. Now, I wasn't expecting much, just a cool addition to my coin collection. But guess what? Turns out that penny was worth a lot more than I thought. Nothing close to $1.3 million, but it definitely made me rethink what I was tossing around in my change jar. So, I get it. We all think our spare change is just that, spare. But sometimes, just sometimes, that penny you find could be the golden ticket. Back to the 2020 mint mark penny. Here's what makes it so valuable. Unlike most pennies, this one has a unique feature that makes it rare. It's not just the mint mark that makes it stand out, it's the way it was struck during production. Some say it's the die cracks that give it its worth, others believe it's the precise shape of the Lincoln bust, but what we do know is this, people are paying crazy amounts for this coin, sometimes over $1 million. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you're gonna find one of these pennies by just checking your couch cushions. If you're looking for one, you've gotta know what you're looking for. Keep your eyes peeled when you're checking your pocket change, and if you happen to find a 2020 penny that has these specific characteristics, bingo! You might be holding a gold mine. And no, it's not just about luck, either. It's about knowing what you're looking for and learning the details. So, don't just throw your pennies in the jar. Take a moment to examine them, especially those minted in 2020. Because sometimes, that small detail, like a mint mark or an unusual design, can make all the difference between a regular penny and a coin worth millions. Before we wrap up, here's something I bet you didn't know: coins with errors are actually more valuable than regular ones. It's the tiny imperfections that collectors go crazy for. And this isn't just a trend, it's been happening for decades. Remember the 1943 copper penny? Yeah, people went wild over that one, too. So, if you ever find a penny that seems a little off, it might just be your ticket to the big leagues. So, what's the takeaway here? Don't sleep on your spare change, my friends. Keep an eye out for those pennies, and who knows? You could be holding onto something worth a small fortune. And if you're not already a coin enthusiast, maybe now's the time to start your collection. You never know what might turn up in your wallet. Alright, if you want more tips on coins that could be worth big bucks, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. I'll be bringing you more info on the coins worth millions, and maybe even a few tips on how to find them. Don't miss out, after all, you might just be sitting on your own personal goldmine without even knowing it. And remember, one man's penny is another man's, well, $1.3 million. Take care, coin hunters. Hey, fellow coin hunters. Imagine you're digging through your old coin jar, maybe a random handful of pennies that you forgot about, and bam! You stumble across something that could make you a millionaire. Sounds like a fantasy, right? Well, buckle up, because we're talking about the 2017 D-Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, a coin that could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.4 million. Yep, you heard me right, $1.4 million. So, grab a snack, sit back, and let's dive into why this penny isn't just your average pocket change. Alright, let's get one thing clear before we dive into the specifics. Not every 2017 D penny is worth $1 million, but there's a rare version out there that's making waves in the coin world. So how do you spot it, and what makes it so special? First, let's talk about what makes a penny valuable in the first place. It's all about rarity, condition, and believe it or not, some weird quirks that make one penny stand out from the rest. And here's the twist with the 2017 D penny: it's got a super rare misstrike. Think of it like finding a vintage baseball card with the wrong player's face on it. Suddenly, it's worth way more than what you'd expect. Now, the 2017 D penny that could fetch a whopping $1.4 million isn't just any old penny that you find in your pocket after buying a soda. It's a rare misprinted gem where the details are slightly off, something that collectors go crazy over. Imagine buying a pizza and realizing there's a topping on it that no one else has ever seen before. It's that kind of surprise. In the world of coins, collectors don't just want perfect pennies, they're after the ones with flaws, because they're super rare. This 2017 D penny isn't something you'll find in every corner store or under your couch cushions. The coin's rarity comes from a production error that happened at the mint. And when it comes to rare coins, scarcity is key. A mistake like this only happens once in a blue moon, making the coin sought after by collectors like a limited edition sneaker drop. But just to be clear, you're not going to walk into a coin shop and find a 2017 D Lincoln penny with this mistake every day. It's that rare. Think of it like trying to find the last remaining cookie in the jar at a family gathering. When it's gone, it's gone. Not a few years ago, I was going through some change at the bottom of my purse, the one that feels like a black hole of random receipts and forgotten gum wrappers. I was sorting through the pennies, and I found a coin that looked a little different. I thought, hey, maybe this is the one, the penny that could turn me into a millionaire. I started Googling and getting all excited. Turns out, it was just a regular 2008 penny with a bit of wear and tear. But man, for those few minutes, I was mentally planning my vacation to Hawaii. Moral of the story? It's a good reminder that sometimes, we all get a little carried away, but hey, we live in hope. It's not just about having a 2017 D penny with the right mistake on it. To actually fetch that $1.4 million price tag, it needs to be in great condition. That's the tricky part. If the coin is all worn out from years of bouncing around in change jars or falling out of your pockets, it's not going to be worth much. You want the coin to be in mint condition, well, almost perfect. And if you get your hands on one that's in stellar shape, you might just have a golden ticket. So, how do you go about finding this gem? First of all, don't expect to find it just by looking in the pennies that are scattered around. You'll need to be strategic. Check your pockets, your old piggy banks, and heck, maybe your grandma's coin jar. She's probably got a few secrets up her sleeve. If you find a 2017 D penny that looks like it could be off, don't just toss it aside. You might want to get it professionally graded to see if it's the real deal, and here's a little bonus tip: always keep an eye on the coin market. Coins can fluctuate in value, just like stocks. And with the rise of digital coin auctions, you never know when someone might be willing to pay top dollar for your rare find. So, now that you know the secret behind the 2017 Pennies $1 million potential, I want to hear from you. Have you ever found a rare coin by accident? Did you think it was worth millions, only to realize it was a dud? Drop your stories in the comments below. I'd love to hear about your coin adventures. Before I let you go, here's the deal: if you want to stay ahead of the game when it comes to rare and valuable coins, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. I'll be sharing more tips, tricks, and stories about coins worth money, and trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and remember, the next big find might just be sitting at the bottom of your coin jar. Keep hunting, keep learning, and most importantly, keep having fun with it. See you next time, and who knows? Maybe the next time we chat, you'll be cashing in on that $1 million penny. Don't forget to subscribe, because you never know when that next lucky penny is going to change your life. This script balances informative content with a casual, humorous tone and personal experience to make the audience feel engaged and entertained throughout the video. It also ends with a strong call to action to encourage viewers to subscribe for future updates. Hey coin enthusiasts! Welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the pockets, piggy banks, and penny jars of America to uncover those hidden treasures that could make you a millionaire. Today, we're talking about a penny that might just be the star of your collection, the 1980 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. Yep, you heard me right. A penny that's worth, wait for it, $1.5 million. I know what you're thinking: did I just hear that correctly? A penny worth $1.5 million bucks? Yes, you did. Before we get into why this penny is so valuable, do me a quick favor. If you're into discovering the coins that could change your life, hit that subscribe button and join our community of treasure hunters. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on future videos like this one. Alright, let's get into it. The 1980 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. Now, if you're like me, you've probably looked at your loose change a million times without really seeing it. I mean, it's just a penny, right? Wrong. Imagine one day you're at the grocery store, paying for a pack of gum, and the cashier hands you this little copper coin. You shove it in your pocket, thinking nothing of it. A week later, you're scrolling through coin videos, and bam! You realize that humble penny could have bought you a mansion. First, let's break down what no-mint mark means. In 1980, the Philadelphia Mint produced pennies without putting any identifying mark on them. Most of the time, this isn't a big deal because tons of coins were minted without marks. But the value of this particular coin comes down to one thing: rarity combined with condition. Yep, the few 1980 no-mint mark pennies that are still in mint state, practically untouched and looking as fresh as the day they were made, are fetching jaw-dropping prices. One of these beauties showed up at an auction, and collectors went absolutely bananas over it. I'm talking bidding wars, folks. When the dust settled, the winning bid hit a staggering $1.5 million. Just for a penny. A coin you might have sitting under your car seat right now. Let me tell you a little story. A few years back, I was helping my grandma clean out her attic. You know how it goes: dust everywhere, boxes older than me. I came across this jar labeled "Pennies for Good Luck." I almost just shoved it back in the corner, but curiosity got the best of me. I opened it up, and lo and behold, a 1980 penny was sitting right on top. My heart skipped a beat. Of course, it turned out to be just a regular one, but for a few glorious seconds, I thought I'd hit the jackpot. Now, if you're rummaging through your coin collection or grandma's attic, here's what to keep an eye out for. You want a 1980 penny with no mint mark, obviously, but it's all about the condition. Look for sharp details on Lincoln's profile, a nice, even copper color, and as few scratches as possible. If you've got one that looks pristine, you might just be sitting on a gold mine or, well, a copper mine. Alright folks, that's the scoop on the 1980 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. Who knew that a tiny coin could hold such massive value? So the next time you're about to toss that penny into a tip jar, take a closer look. And if you do find one worth a fortune, just remember who told you about it. Before you go, make sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to subscribe for more tips on coins worth money. Who knows, your next find might just make you a millionaire. Hey there, coin hunters. Have you ever checked your change and thought, man, I wish this penny was worth a fortune? Well, what if I told you that one of the most ordinary looking pennies from 1975 could actually be worth a jaw dropping $1.6 million? Yep, you heard that right. Today, we're diving into the fascinating story of the 1975 no mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny and why it could make you rich. So grab your loose change, because you might just be holding a treasure, alright? So let me set the scene. Imagine you're cleaning out that old junk drawer, the one that has everything from stray screws to that weird key you swore you'd remember what it was for. As you're sorting through, you spot a dirty old penny. It's a 1975 penny with no mint mark. Your first thought? Meh, just another penny. Your second thought? Could it be one of those rare coins everyone's talking about? That little copper coin might just be the jackpot? The 1975 no mint Mark Lincoln penny is currently valued at a whopping $1.6 million. Yeah, I know, I was just as shocked as you when I found out. You might be wondering, why is it worth so much? Let's break it down. So, the big question, why is a 1975 penny without a mint mark so valuable? It all comes down to rarity and errors. You see, pennies minted in Philadelphia typically don't have a mint mark, but something about the 1975 batch makes this penny exceptionally rare. Experts believe that some of these pennies were accidentally minted on a different planchet, a blank piece of metal used to make coins. This little mistake turned an ordinary penny into a millionaire's dream, but wait, it gets even crazier. The highest graded example of this penny ever found was sold for, you guessed it, $1.6 million. So, if you've got one of these coins stashed away somewhere, it might be worth giving it a second look. Now, let me tell you a quick story. One day, I was helping my grandma clean out her attic, and she handed me a dusty old coin jar. I didn't think much of it, just a bunch of coins from the past few decades. But guess what I found in there? A 1975 penny with no mint mark. My heart just about stopped. I rushed to check if it was one of the rare ones. Turns out, it wasn't. But hey, the thrill of the hunt was worth it. It made me realize that sometimes, the most valuable things are right under our noses. So, next time you're digging through your change or helping a relative clean out their attic, keep an eye out for that 1975 no mint mark penny. It might just be your ticket to $1 million. If you enjoyed this little coin adventure and want more tips on spotting valuable coins, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to like, share, and drop a comment if you've ever found a rare penny or thought you did. Keep hunting, and remember, every penny counts. Hey coin collectors and curious minds. Imagine this, you're digging through your couch cushions for some spare change to buy your favorite snack, and you stumble upon a penny. Nothing special, right? But wait, what if I told you that penny could be worth a whopping $1.7 million? Yep, you heard that right. Today, we're diving into the story behind the 2013 no mint Mark Lincoln penny that's turning everyday change into life-changing cash. So, stick around because you might just have a fortune sitting in your pocket. I used to think pennies were practically useless. One time, I found a few lying around in my car and almost tossed them out. But then, I heard about coins like this 2013 penny, and suddenly, I became a treasure hunter in my own vehicle. Seriously, I even went back to the gas station where I left a few coins just to double-check. Spoiler alert, no million-dollar penny, but hey, it's the thrill of the hunt. So, what makes this little copper beauty so valuable? The 2013 no mint Mark Lincoln penny doesn't look too different from the average penny at first glance. It's got good old Abe on the front, just like the millions of other pennies minted that year. But here's the kicker, the lack of a mint mark and a few unique features make this particular coin a jackpot for collectors. Great question. Typically, pennies minted in Philadelphia don't carry a mint mark, but this specific penny has an error that's pretty rare. Collectors are going nuts because it's one of the few that made it out into circulation before the error was caught. So basically, it's like finding a misprinted baseball card, but way more valuable. As of now, this coin is valued at $1.7 million. Yes, million. And no, that's not a typo. One of these coins recently sold at auction, and it completely blew away everyone's expectations. The reason? Its pristine condition and rarity. You see, the more flawless the coin, the more cash you're looking at. So if you've got one tucked away somewhere, handle it with care, maybe put on those white gloves, always check your change. You never know when one of these might pop up. Grab a magnifying glass and look at the date. If you see 2013 and no little letter beneath it, congratulations. You might just be sitting on a small fortune. When I first heard about this coin, I practically tore my house apart. I even checked my old piggy bank from when I was a kid. It was like a scene from a detective movie, me hunched over the table, squinting at every penny like it was a clue to some great mystery. Spoiler alert, I found some gum wrappers and a Canadian penny, but no jackpot. Alright, friends, now it's your turn to go hunting. Next time you get change from the store, give those pennies a second glance, because one of them might just change your life. If you enjoyed this little coin adventure, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell for more stories about coins that are worth way more than you'd think. And hey, drop a comment if you've ever found a coin that made you do a double take. See you in the next video. Hey everyone! Welcome back to the channel, where we dig into pocket change to find treasures worth a fortune. Today, we're talking about a penny that could literally change your life, the 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, currently valued at a whopping $1.8 million. Yep, you heard that right, one single penny could set you up for life. Stick around because you'll want to know why this tiny coin is worth more than a mansion, but first, let me hit you with a quick story. A few years back, I was cleaning out my junk drawer, the one that's a mix of receipts, rubber bands, and those random mystery keys. I stumbled upon a handful of old pennies and thought, hey, maybe one of these is valuable. Spoiler alert, they weren't. But little did I know at the time, one of them could have been worth $1.80 million. Alright, let's dive into the mystery of this penny. So, what makes the 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln penny so special? It all boils down to rarity, errors, and good old-fashioned luck. Most pennies from 1987 have a mint mark from Philadelphia, P, Denver, D, or San Francisco, S. But if you find one without any mark at all, congratulations, you might be holding a fortune now. You're probably wondering why this penny doesn't have a mint mark. Here's the kicker, it's believed that a few coins from the Philadelphia mint mistakenly missed the stamp. Imagine the mint workers back in the day just casually forgetting to mark a batch. Whoops! But that tiny mistake has turned into a massive payday for a lucky FEW.SO. How do you know if you've got the real deal? First, check the date, 1987. Then, look just under the date, no mint mark at all. It's like the ultimate game of spot the difference. If it's a plain 1987 penny, don't just toss it back in your coin jar. One of these bad boys sold recently for $1.8 million. Let that sink in. Someone turned 1 cent into $1.8 million. I mean, how often does that happen outside of a lottery ticket? If I ever find one, you can bet I'm not just paying off my bills, I'm probably buying a lifetime supply of tacos, because why not? Who knew a little copper coin could fund my ultimate taco dream? What makes this penny worth so much? It's not just the missing mint mark, it's the condition too. Coins that are in pristine, uncirculated condition are the most sought after. So if you've got one that's a bit beat up from being in your pocket for 30 years, it might not hit that $1 million mark. Still, it could be worth hundreds or even thousands. Collectors go wild over these rare mint errors. They love the story, the rarity, and honestly, the bragging rights of owning $1 million penny.so. Here's your mission: go through those old coin jars, junk drawers, and even your car's cup holders. You never know where that $1 million penny might be hiding. And if you do find one, let me know because I'll be the first to say, drinks are on you. If you enjoyed this video and want more tips on finding valuable coins, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. I've got plenty more stories and tips to help you uncover those hidden treasures. Until next time, happy coin hunting! Hey there, coin enthusiasts and treasure hunters! Welcome back to the channel where we talk about coins that are worth way more than just pocket change. Today, we're diving into one of the most surprising and valuable pennies you might just have lying around, the 1964 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. And believe it or not, one of these bad boys is worth a whopping $1.1 million. Yes, you heard that right, a penny that could literally change your life. So, if you've got a jar of old pennies at home, you might want to start digging through it right after this video, before we get started, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because you don't want to miss out on more tips on valuable coins and ways to turn your spare change into serious cash. Alright, let's get into it. So, why on earth is a 1964 no-mint mark Lincoln penny worth $1.1 million? First, a little context. Back in 1964, the US Mint produced billions of Lincoln pennies, yes, billions with a B. Most of these were minted in Philadelphia, which typically didn't include a mint mark. So, technically, a 1964 no-mint mark penny isn't rare in itself. But here's where it gets interesting. There's a unique error that makes some of these pennies extremely valuable. You see, some 1964 pennies were accidentally struck on a different type of planchet, a material typically used for foreign coins. These errors are incredibly rare, and collectors go absolutely bonkers for them. Plus, if the coin is in pristine condition, think uncirculated, shiny, and almost flawless, its value shoots through the roof. Now, let me tell you a quick story. A few years back, I was helping my grandma clean out her attic. We stumbled upon an old coffee can filled with pennies. At first, I thought, oh great, just a bunch of dirty old coins. But then, I remembered hearing about valuable pennies, so I started sifting through them like I was digging for gold. Spoiler alert, I didn't find the $1.1 million penny, but I did discover a couple of wheat pennies worth a few bucks each. The point is, you never know what treasure might be hiding in plain sight. If you're thinking about hunting down your own 1964 no-mint mark penny, here's what to look for. Make sure it has no mint mark under the date, check the condition, and if it looks unusually shiny or feels different in weight, it might just be the error coin everyone's after. If you think you found one, don't just shove it back in the coffee can. Get it professionally graded and authenticated because that's the key to unlocking its true value. So, there you have it. The 1964 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, possibly worth $1.1 million and hiding in your spare change. Who knew that a humble penny could be worth more than a mansion? If you enjoyed today's coin adventure and want more tips on valuable coins, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell. Who knows, your next find might just make you a millionaire. Hey there, coin enthusiasts and fellow treasure hunters. Welcome back to the channel. If you've ever come across a dusty old jar of coins in your grandma's attic or rummaged through a pile of loose change in your pocket, you might have wondered if you're holding on to something worth a fortune. Well, today, we've got a real gem to talk about, the 1969 D-mint mark Lincoln penny. This little guy is worth a jaw-dropping $1.20 million. Yes, you heard that right. A penny, worth over $1 million. So, stick around because you're about to learn everything you need to know about this insanely valuable coin and how you might just find one hiding in plain sight. Let's dive in. Now, I know what you're thinking, a penny, really? You're telling me a penny is worth more than my car? Well, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, but it's not your everyday penny. This one's got a unique story behind it. The 1969 D Lincoln penny isn't just any old copper coin. It was minted at the Denver Mint, which is why it carries the D Mint mark. But here's the kicker, the reason it's worth a staggering $1.2 million is because of a rare error that makes it one of the most sought-after coins on the planet. This isn't some mild error where the letter D is slightly off-center. No, this one's a bit more complicated. We're talking about an authentic double die obverse error. A double die error happens when a coin is struck twice by the same die, and both strikes are slightly misaligned. What does this look like? Well, it means that the design of Abraham Lincoln's face and the inscriptions on the penny are a little blurry and doubled up. Think of it like trying to stamp a piece of paper with ink, and then without lifting the paper, you stamp it again. But, not just anywhere, it's a little off from the first print, making it blurry but still legible. Kind of like when you try to take a selfie but your hand shakes a little, and now you've got two versions of yourself looking at the camera. It's still you, but just, not quite perfect. Now, here's the crazy part, when these double die error pennies were minted, the mistake wasn't immediately obvious to most people. So, a lot of them ended up circulating like regular pennies. But as collectors started looking more closely, they realized that these doubled strikes were the real deal, and suddenly, the 1969 D became the holy grail of pennies. Okay, let me share a quick story with you about how I got into this whole rare coin obsession. So, about a year ago, I'm at this local flea market, just casually browsing through some old coins in a dusty box, not expecting to find anything special. You know, I've seen my fair share of shiny pennies, but I'm just there for fun, no big deals. Well, I'm flipping through, and I come across this 1969 D penny that looked, well, kinda off. The engravings weren't as crisp as usual, and it looked like someone had double printed it. Naturally, I was like, probably just some regular worn out penny, no big deal. But for some reason, I didn't just toss it back into the box. I kept it in my pocket for the rest of the day, and when I got home, I did a little research. Boom, my jaw hit the floor. I had found a 1969 D with a double die error. And guess what? It's worth a fortune. Now, before you go running to your pocket, the odds of finding one of these are slim, but it's definitely possible. And the key takeaway here is, always pay attention to your change. Now, let's talk about the current market value of these bad boys. As of right now, the 1969 D Lincoln penny with that double die error can fetch up to $1.2 million at auction, depending on its condition. Sounds like a dream, right? But here's the thing, these coins aren't exactly common. In fact, there are only a handful of them out there, making it a rare find that could completely change your life. If you've got one of these pennies, or even think you do, it's time to get it evaluated. Some of these rare coins have been known to sell for record-breaking prices, so don't miss out on your chance to cash in on this little bit of American history. Double die error. Look for the doubled features, especially around Lincoln's hair, the date, and the word liberty. The better the condition, the higher the value. If your coin is in great shape with minimal wear and tear, you're looking at a much higher price tag. The best way to verify your coin's value is by getting it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. They'll confirm if your penny has the double die error and give it an official grade, which will help you sell it for top dollar. Your chance to turn a simple penny into $1 million payday. Who knew that a single little coin could be worth so much, right? The 1969 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny with the double die error is a prime example of how rare and valuable coins can be found in the most unexpected places. But hey, before you go rummaging through your change jar or scouring the internet for one of these bad boys, here's a friendly reminder. Coin collecting isn't just about striking it rich, it's about enjoying the hunt and learning along the way. So, whether you're looking for a rare coin or just trying to understand the history behind the ones you already have, there's always something new to discover. If you want more tips on finding valuable coins, or if you're curious about other coins that could be worth a fortune, hit that subscribe button. I've got a ton more content coming your way, trust me, you won't want to miss it. Until next time, keep on hunting, and remember, your next $1 million coin could be just around the corner or in your pocket right now. Hey, what's up, coin collectors and treasure hunters? You won't believe what I've got for you today, something that might be hiding right in your pocket. Have you ever thought that a penny could make you a millionaire? Well, today, we're talking about the 1988 no-mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, yes, the one that's currently worth a whopping $1.3 million. That's right, folks, your spare change might just be your ticket to a new life, but before you start checking your pockets for forgotten pennies, make sure to grab a comfy seat because I'm about to dive into the juicy details of this little coin, and trust me, there's more to it than you think. I'll walk you through what makes this penny so valuable, how you can spot one, and a few of my own coin collecting mishaps, the regrets. So stick around. Alright, let's get this out of the way first. We've all been there. You see a penny on the ground, maybe it's shiny and new, and you think, meh, it's just a penny. You walk right by. Then there's that one friend who's way too excited about picking up pennies, and they get all philosophical about how a penny saved is a penny earned, or some old school saying like that. And you roll your eyes, thinking, yeah, right, sure, whatever. Well, turns out, those pennies are sometimes more than just a tiny copper coin. Sometimes, they're treasures in disguise. And the 1988 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is one of those. If you find one, you could be looking at a literal goldmine in your hand. Now, this is where the fun stuff happens. So, the reason the 1988 penny is so valuable is because it's an error coin. Basically, the US Mint accidentally left off the mint mark on this particular batch of pennies. Every coin produced by the US Mint typically has a mint mark, like D4 Denver or S4 San Francisco, showing where it was made. But some of the 1988 pennies just didn't have one at all, and if you think about it, that makes this coin pretty rare. The mint didn't produce too many of these no-mint mark pennies, which means finding one today is like striking gold in your piggy bank. Imagine stumbling on one in your jar of loose change, thinking it's just another penny, and realizing it could be worth more than your car. Mind-blowing, right? First off, you want to check the date, of course. A penny from 1988, easy, right? Then, take a good look at the reverse side, the back of the coin, and make sure there's no mint mark. It should be blank, no little D or S at the bottom of the building on the Lincoln Memorial. Don't be fooled, though. There are lots of pennies out there from 1988 with mint marks, and those are still cool coins, just not worth a fortune. So, if yours is mint mark free and looks like it's been through a few good years of circulation, congratulations, you might just be holding on to something that could change your life. Now that you know how to spot the coin, the next big question is, how do I get my hands on $1.3 million for a penny? Well, that's the tricky part. The 1988 no mint mark penny has been known to fetch around $1.3 million when it's in pristine, uncirculated condition. But don't expect that kind of value for every coin you find. Condition is everything. If your coin's been sitting in your coin jar for decades and is all scratched up, it won't be worth quite as much. But even if it's not in perfect shape, don't just throw it in a jar and forget about it. Get it appraised. You'd be surprised at what some collectors will pay for a rare find, even if it's not in mint condition. Okay, quick story. A few years ago, I was at a flea market, and I saw this old guy with a cart full of what looked like junk. But there, hidden under some random postcards, was an old silver coin. I had no idea what it was, but I thought, hey, it looks old, so it must be worth something, right? I paid him $5 for it, and let me tell you, I felt like I was going to be rich. But then I got it home, cleaned it, huge mistake, and did some research. Turns out it was just a regular 1964 silver quarter, not worth nearly as much as I thought. Lesson learned, never clean your coins, and always do your research before jumping the gun. Alright, folks, let's wrap it up. The 1988 no mint mark Lincoln penny is definitely one of those rare finds that can make you feel like you've struck gold. So, next time you find a random penny, maybe give it a second glance, because you never know what kind of hidden treasure is hiding in your pocket. If you want more tips on valuable coins, how to spot rare finds, and stories from my own coin hunting adventures, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't want to miss what I've got coming next. Who knows, the next $1 million coin could be right under your nose. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Happy hunting, and remember, those pennies aren't always just pennies. Hey there, fellow coin collectors and curious minds. Now, let me ask you a quick question. Have you ever stumbled across a penny in your pocket or a random change jar, only to find out it's worth more than you ever imagined? No, I'm not talking about that shiny one you find at the bottom of your couch cushions. I'm talking about a true hidden gem. Imagine you have a 1968 Lincoln penny, and it's worth a jaw-dropping $1.4 million. Sounds insane, right? Well, trust me, this is no fantasy. Grab your magnifying glass, because we're diving deep into the world of coins, and this little penny might just be the golden ticket you didn't know you had. Now, before we get too excited, let's break this down. A lot of us are familiar with Abraham Lincoln pennies, right? But did you know that certain years, like 1968, can be worth a small fortune, especially if they come with the elusive D mint mark? Let's take a moment to geek out about this 1968 Lincoln penny, because not all pennies are created equal, folks. And, trust me, this one has a tale to tell. So, you're probably thinking, what makes the 1968 so special? Great question. The 1968 penny is what collectors refer to as a key date coin. Why? Because not only was it produced in huge numbers, but it's one of those lucky, special cases where some pennies didn't get struck perfectly, and that's a huge deal for collectors. A coin's value isn't just based on its age, it's also based on its rarity, condition, and those minor errors that make it stand out from the rest. Picture this: you're flipping through a jar of loose change, and you spot a 1968 Lincoln penny. Most people would toss it aside without giving it a second glance. But if you were savvy enough, you'd recognize that this small, seemingly insignificant coin could be worth upwards of $1.4 million. How? Well, you'd need to find one with some pretty unique features, like an error in minting or that perfect grade from the experts. The condition of these pennies really drives the value up, especially if they are in mint condition. Let me tell you, finding a rare coin like this isn't exactly an everyday occurrence. In fact, just a few months ago, I was going through some old change I had lying around. It was a lazy Saturday afternoon, and I thought, why not go through these pennies and see if anything stands out? Well, nothing spectacular happened, but there was this one penny, a 1982 no mint mark penny. It wasn't worth a fortune, but it got me thinking about how much we overlook in our daily lives, especially when it comes to coins. I know many of us have done it. We either toss them aside or leave them buried in a jar until we finally decide to deal with it. But who knows? That next junk coin you pick up might just be a treasure, so let's break it down. The 1968 D Lincoln penny came with a large mintage in circulation. However, a small number of these pennies were struck with some pretty cool errors that made them unique. But here's the catch: not every 1968 D penny is worth millions. Only the ones in near-perfect condition are likely to fetch such a high price. Think about it, would you pay millions for a house that's falling apart? Probably not. The same goes for coins, and now, let's talk about some of those errors that can make these coins worth so much. These errors typically happen during the minting process. Maybe the coin was struck too many times, or maybe it had some damage while being produced. These imperfections could include things like die cracks, off-center strikes, or weak lettering. While you're looking through your coins, you want to be on the lookout for these little defects because that's what makes it unique in the eyes of collectors. And here's the fun part: it's not just the rare errors that make these pennies valuable, it's the grade. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. The higher the number, the better the condition. A penny in mint state, with no visible wear or damage, is a real gem. So, if you happen to find a 1968 D penny that looks like it just came out of a fresh roll, you're in luck. I know a guy, well, I'm actually that guy, who once thought his collection of coins was worth maybe a few bucks at most. I remember sitting on the couch one evening, chatting with a friend who happened to be a serious coin collector. Naturally, I had to show off my little stash of pennies. You know, the ones I never thought would be worth more than their face value. I pulled out a 1968 D, just for fun. To my surprise, my friend went wild. He kept telling me, "Dude, this could be worth a lot of money." At first, I thought he was pulling my leg. But after looking it up and getting it professionally graded, my humble little penny turned out to be a rare find, worth thousands of dollars. Moral of the story: don't just toss the change aside without a second thought, especially if it's a 1968 D penny. Alright, folks, now you're armed with the knowledge to search for that $1 million 1968 D penny, or at least the ones that might be worth a lot more than you think. Whether you find one in your own change jar, a coin roll, or maybe even while cleaning out your grandma's old purse, we've all been there. You'll know exactly what to look for. But here's the real kicker: coin collecting is an adventure. It's not just about the money. It's about the thrill of discovery, the stories behind each coin, and the pure joy of learning something new every day. Before I wrap this up, here's your call to action. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1968 D Lincoln penny and want more tips on coins worth money, strategies for spotting hidden treasures, and everything in between, make sure to hit subscribe. I've got tons more exciting stuff coming your way that could turn that pocket change into a fortune. So, what are you waiting for? Go check your pockets, dig through your change jars, and keep an eye out for those hidden gems. Until next time, happy hunting, and remember, it's not just about the coin, it's about the story behind it. Hey, what's up, coin enthusiasts? Are you ready to hear about a coin that could be hiding in your pocket, potentially worth over $1.5 million? No, this isn't an ad for a get-rich-quick scheme. We're talking about the 1965 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Yes, that humble little copper disc that you might have tossed aside without a second thought. But wait, there's more to this story than just pocket change. This penny might just be your ticket to something big if it's got that rare error. So, sit tight and let's dive into why this penny could be worth a fortune. But before we do, let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was rummaging through my old change jar, looking for some loose change to grab a snack. You know, that jar where you toss all the extra coins after paying for things like coffee, gum, or parking meters. Anyway, I picked up a penny, stared at it for a second, and thought, it's just a penny, nothing special. But here's the twist: I almost tossed it in the jar with the others. But then I remembered something from a YouTube video I watched about rare coins. I went ahead and took a closer look at it. It wasn't anything special at first glance, but guess what? Turns out, that penny was a 1943 steel penny. I couldn't believe it. You know, the kind that's worth around $1.7 million if it's in the right condition. Anyway, after a trip to a professional coin appraiser, shout out to my local coin shop, I realized I had a small treasure on my hands. That moment made me appreciate how much potential those seemingly boring coins have. And that's what brings us to today's topic, the 1965 no-mint mark penny. Alright, let's talk about the star of today's show, the 1965 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. At first glance, it may look like just another penny you could pick up off the sidewalk. But trust me, it's much more than that. You see, the value of this coin skyrockets because of a unique error that occurred back in the day. Here's the deal: most pennies minted in 1965, and the years around it, were made in Philadelphia, which typically has a P mint mark. But here's where things get spicy. In 1965, the US Mint was working at full capacity to create enough coins for the public after the coin shortage. They needed to crank out billions of pennies, so some of them were made without the typical mint mark. That's right, some pennies were struck with no P mint mark at all. Now, to make things clearer, most of the 1965 pennies you come across will have the mint mark. But if you happen to find one without it, bingo! You've got yourself a rare coin, and that's why a 1965 no mint mark Lincoln penny can be valued at $1.5 million today. So, how did this happen in the first place? Why did some of these pennies get minted without a mint mark, and others didn't? Here's a fun fact for you. Back in the 1960s, there was a lot of pressure to get coins out fast due to the economy's demand. The mint was under a lot of stress, especially with the changeover from silver coins to copper-based coins. They were just trying to keep up with the order, and in the rush, some pennies slipped through the cracks without being marked with a P. Coin errors like this aren't super common, but they're definitely out there, and that's where collectors get excited. If you find a 1965 no-mint mark penny in decent condition, it could be worth a small fortune, depending on its grade and rarity. You might be thinking, okay, but how do I know if I have a 1965 no-mint mark penny worth $1.5 million? Can I just check the ones I have lying around? Well, good news. You don't need a magnifying glass or to dig through every penny in your collection. There's a simple trick: check the spot where the mint mark should be, right under the year. If you don't see a P, and the coin looks legit, it might just be your golden ticket. However, not every 1965 penny without a mint mark will fetch that crazy amount. The value depends on its condition, also known as its grade. Coins in pristine condition, those without scratches, discoloration, or wear, are more valuable. If the coin looks like it just came off the press, you might have something really special. So, why are people so obsessed with this penny? Well, the 1965 no mint mark penny has an interesting backstory, rarity, and historical significance. It's kind of like finding a rare piece of art. You can't just walk into a store and find one. When collectors get their hands on a 1965 no mint mark penny, they're not just buying a coin, they're buying a piece of history. Plus, there's something about owning a coin that's worth $1 million that gets people's adrenaline pumping. If you can turn a simple penny into a fortune, that's a story you'll be telling for years to come. It's like finding a treasure chest in your backyard, except, it's not buried, it's in your pocket change. Alright, folks, I hope this video has given you a whole new perspective on those pennies sitting in your drawer, jar, or sofa cushions. The next time you find a 1965 penny, give it a second look. It might not be worth $1.5 million just yet, but you never know. That little copper disc could be your ticket to a serious payday. If you're into rare coins, valuable pennies, or just love learning about cool stuff like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update on the next big coin discovery. Who knows? Your next treasure might be sitting in your change jar right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video with more tips and tricks on coins that could make you a millionaire. Peace, and hey, if you find a 1965 no mint mark penny, don't forget to leave a comment below and let me know. Who knows? You might just inspire the next episode. Hey, what's up, coin lovers? Have you ever found a penny in your couch cushions, in your pocket, or maybe even at the bottom of a fountain, and just tossed it aside because you thought, it's just a penny? Well, my friend, if you've got a 1971 Lincoln penny lying around, you might want to double-check before you throw it away. I'm talking about a penny worth a jaw-dropping $1.6 million. Yeah, you heard me right. A penny. A single coin. The kind you might step on while walking around barefoot because, honestly, who cares about pennies, right? But let me tell you, that 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is no ordinary penny. In fact, it's worth more than some of your favorite cars or that massive flat-screen TV you've been dreaming about. Crazy, right? Now, I know what you're thinking. A penny, $1.6 million? Are you serious? And yes, I am serious. So, let's break it down and talk about what makes this penny so dang valuable and how you could be sitting on a little treasure without even realizing it. Alright, first things first, let's get the boring stuff out of the way, so we can get to the fun part. The 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is part of the famous Lincoln cent series. But here's the kicker, there's no mint mark. You know, the little DRS that usually tells you where the coin was made? Well, the 1971 no-mint mark has no letter, which makes it super rare because most pennies made that year have either the D or S. No mint mark? Now we're talking something a little special. Now, why does that matter? Well, to the untrained eye, this penny might look like all the other pennies you see lying around. But for coin collectors? It's like finding a unicorn in a haystack. And that's where the magic happens. As soon as a coin gets that rare label, it can shoot up in value faster than a rocket on launch day. So, let's talk about how much these things are worth. The 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny in good condition can go for hundreds of dollars. But when you're talking about one in pristine, uncirculated condition? That's where things get wild, and that $1.6 million figure comes into play. That's right. A little piece of metal worth more than some people's houses. You know, this reminds me of the time I went through my old coin collection and found a penny from, like, 1968 or something. I was feeling all proud, thinking I had a hidden gem. But after some Googling, I found out it wasn't worth more than a couple bucks. Still, I took it to a coin shop, and they were all like, well, it's not rare, but it's still cool to hang on to. I left the store with a pretty crushed ego, but hey, at least I didn't walk out empty-handed, just like I learned. You never know what you've got until you do some digging. And if you happen to find a 1971 no-mint mark penny lying around in a drawer somewhere, you might want to hit pause before you dismiss it as just another coin. Now, the 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny isn't the only rare coin out there, but it's definitely one that's gained a lot of attention. Coin values depend on a few factors, like condition, rarity, and demand. So, how do you know if your penny is worth more than a typical pocket change? Well, the condition of the coin is huge. A 1971 no-mint mark penny that's got a lot of wear and tear? It's not going to be worth nearly as much as one that's in mint condition, untouched by time and use. You want to look for a coin that's shiny, clear, and doesn't have any noticeable scratches or dents. You know, the kind of penny you might find at the bottom of an old jar that's been sitting in your grandma's attic since the 70s. Then, of course, there's the whole how many of these exist factor. A lot of 1971 pennies were minted, but the no-mint mark ones are far less common. And it's this rarity that drives the price up. It's like the difference between an old baseball card you find in your closet and an autographed one that could make you rich. So, what's the moral of the story here? Well, if you've got a 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny just hanging out in your collection, don't underestimate its value. You might be sitting on a small fortune without even knowing it. But if it's not a 1971 no-mint mark, don't worry, there are plenty of other coins worth some serious cash. And I'll be here to guide you through them, so keep an eye on your change. Now, before I let you go, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you won't miss out on any future tips about coins worth money. Whether it's pennies, nickels, dimes, or anything else, we're diving deep into the world of valuable coins together. And who knows, you might just discover a hidden treasure in your own pocket. Alright, folks, today's episode is all about something that you probably have just lying around in your coin jar, hidden in your couch cushions, or maybe just chilling in your loose change jar like it's no big deal. But big dramatic pause, what if I told you that one of those pennies, yes, just one lonely penny, could be worth a whopping $1.7 million? Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, buckle up, because we're about to dive into the incredible world of the 1972 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, and let me tell you, it's a wild ride. That's a joke, right? Nope, no joke here. This little guy right here, this 1972 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, is one of the most elusive, rare, and valuable pennies in the whole wide world. And I'm about to tell you exactly why this tiny piece of copper is worth so much. First, let's talk about the mint marks. Mint marks are those little letters, like D4 Denver or S4 San Francisco, that are stamped onto coins to tell you where they were made. In 1972, most pennies came with a mint mark, but the no mint mark version? That's the unicorn. You see, most pennies from this year were made at the Philadelphia Mint, but some sneaky few slipped through the cracks without a mint mark, making them a mystery and adding to their value. It's kind of like finding an old letter with a stamp from a country that doesn't exist anymore. Pretty cool, right? Here's the thing, this 1972 no mint mark penny is so rare that it's become the holy grail for coin collectors. Only a handful of them are out there, and each one is like finding a needle in a haystack, except the needle is worth $1 million. Well, 1.7 million to be exact, and I know that might sound too good to be true, but that's the current market value of a high-grade one. And trust me, coin collectors are going crazy for it. So, what makes this penny worth so much? First, its rarity, of course. The fact that it doesn't have a mint mark makes it unique. People love unique stuff. But here's the kicker, when a coin gets into the hands of someone who knows what they're looking for, and it's in amazing condition, that's where the magic happens. These coins can fetch a ton of money in auctions, sometimes going up to $1.7 million. Yes, you heard that right, $1.7 million. Let that sink in for a second. Now, I know what you're thinking, how did I miss out on this? I have a ton of pennies just sitting around in jars. Trust me, you're not alone. A few years ago, I was in your shoes, sifting through my own coin collection, thinking, hey, what's so special about this stuff? But then, one day, I came across a penny from 1969. And I swear, I thought I'd hit the jackpot. I rushed to the internet to check it out, convinced it was going to be worth a fortune. Well, turns out, I wasn't even close. It was just a regular old penny, but you know what? It taught me a big lesson about coin collecting. I learned that you need to know what you're looking for, and that's where the research comes in. Lucky for you, I've done the heavy lifting, so you don't have to. If you have a 1972 no mint mark Lincoln penny tucked away somewhere, get it checked out. Seriously, don't just ignore it because it looks like the rest of the pennies in your change jar. It could very well be the golden ticket that you've been waiting for. Now, let's talk about how you can spot the valuable ones. First, look at the date. If it's a 1972 penny, you're on the right track. Next, check for the mint mark or lack of it. If there's no D or S, you've got yourself a potential winner. But wait. It gets even better. The condition matters big time. A coin with sharp details, no wear, and no damage is going to be way more valuable than one with scratches or discoloration. It's all about looking for those little signs of perfection. Think of it like looking for a perfectly ripe avocado, you know, the one that's not too soft, not too hard, just right? Yeah, that's the sweet spot for coins too. So, what can you do now? Simple. Get those pennies out, inspect them, and make sure you know what you're working with. And hey, if you find a 1972 no mint mark Lincoln penny in great condition, well, you're in for a real treat, my friend. But whether you're into coin collecting or just curious about hidden treasures, remember this, knowledge is power. And I'm here to help you uncover those hidden gems. But before you go off on your coin hunt, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for more tips on rare coins, how to spot them, and how to make some serious cash with just pocket change. Plus, I'll keep sharing stories and experiences from my own collection, just like my coin mishap with that 1969 penny. I bet you'll find it hilarious. Hey, coin collectors and curious minds. Ever thought your pocket change could be worth more than your car? Yeah, I didn't either until I found out about the 1991 no mint mark Lincoln penny. And guess what? This little guy's worth a whopping $1.80 million. I know what you're thinking, wait, a penny? The same pennies I toss into the tip jar at Starbucks? Yes, you heard that right. That tiny piece of copper might just be sitting in your drawer, gathering dust, while it could be the golden ticket you didn't even know you were holding. So, buckle up, because today we're diving deep into the value of the 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln penny and how you can spot a hidden fortune in your pocket change. Alright, let's break this down. We're talking about the 1991 penny, but not just any penny. This specific one doesn't have a mint mark. What does that even mean? Okay, bear with me for a sec. Normally, when pennies are minted, they have a tiny mark on them, like a little D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But the 1991 no mint mark penny? No mint mark whatsoever. And guess what? That tiny omission is why these bad boys can go for millions today, but what makes it so rare? The thing is, mint marks on pennies are usually added during production, so if a coin rolls off the press without one, it's like a little mystery and error that collectors go wild for. And who doesn't love a good mystery, right? Now, how can you tell if your penny is a golden ticket to the jackpot? Well, first, take out that jar of loose change. I bet you've got a ton of pennies lying around that you've never even thought twice about. But, before you just toss them back into the jar, let's check out a few things. This is pretty obvious. The penny you're hunting for should say 1991. But don't stop there, that's only half the battle. Look closely at the reverse side of the coin, right under the date. It's usually where the mint mark would be located. If you see no mint mark, bingo. Now, don't be too disappointed if you've got a worn-out 1991 penny. Condition matters. If your penny is still shiny, that's a plus. I once went through a whole box of pennies looking for a rare 1982 no mint mark penny. Side note, I didn't find it, but a guy at a coin show told me that they were hiding somewhere. It was like a treasure hunt, but with more disappointment and less actual treasure. So, why is this tiny, everyday coin suddenly worth $1.8 million? Here's the thing, not every 1991 no mint mark penny is worth that much, but the ones in excellent condition? The ones that are near perfect or uncirculated? Yeah, they can fetch a pretty penny. And by pretty, I mean life-changing. There's a small group of these pennies that ended up being minted without the mark, and in this case, rarity is the key. You've got a mistake, and collectors absolutely love a good error coin. The 1991 no mint mark Lincoln penny stands out in a sea of other 1991 pennies, which makes it priceless to the right buyer. And now, don't just grab every 1991 penny you find and assume it's worth a fortune. You'll need to do a little research and maybe even consult a professional. I learned the hard way that just because a coin has a funny look doesn't always mean it's worth big bucks. If you do happen to find one of these rare gems, where should you sell it? Let's talk about options. You can head to a trusted coin dealer who can appraise your penny. Be sure to find someone with a good reputation, though. Trust me, you don't want to be that person who sells a $1.8 million coin for the price of a sandwich. Websites like eBay are a great place to list rare coins. But be careful, some buyers might try to lowball you, so always get your coin authenticated first. Sometimes, you can bring your coin to a collector's event. They're like giant conventions, but with more people talking about pennies than comic books. A friend of mine once sold a rare coin on eBay for a ton of money, but only after he had it graded. Lesson learned, never skip the grading process. You don't want to sell a treasure for cheap just because you didn't take a minute to authenticate it. Alright, before we wrap things up, let's talk about the don'ts. There are a few mistakes I made early on when I started collecting that I want you to avoid. Always get your rare coins professionally graded before selling. The value can increase dramatically depending on the grade. Not researching the coin market, do some homework. The value of coins fluctuates over time, and you don't want to sell something too early or too late for a lower price. Underestimating condition. A coin in good condition can be worth way more than one that's all scuffed up. So, take care of your pennies, folks. Alright, that's it. Who knew that a simple penny could lead to so much excitement, right? If you've got a 1991 no mint mark Lincoln penny lying around, maybe it's time to take a closer look. It could be worth a ton of money, but remember, the key to success in coin collecting is to stay informed, stay patient, and don't be afraid to do a little digging. Who knows? Your next pocket change could be worth more than you ever imagined, and if you enjoyed this video and want more tips on finding hidden gems in your change, hit that subscribe button. I've got tons more coin stories and strategies coming your way, and trust me, you don't want to miss out on a chance to turn your spare change into serious cash. So, stay tuned, and keep those pennies safe. If you want more tips, tricks, and deep dives into coins worth money, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and hit that bell notification. And hey, if you found that rare penny, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your coin collecting stories.